through. Let's start here. I've never been on a river cruise, Reiner. Where would Reiner recommend I take my first river cruise?
That is an easy one, Ryan. For many, many years, we're doing this for 27 years. River cruising was put on the map by Viking. And one of the first uh, river cruises that we put on the map was the Rhine getaway. This is a cruise that is an 8-day journey between Amsterdam and Basel, Switzerland, single-handedly the most popular tour among first-time travelers on Viking on the rivers. And the reason I think is because you really, in these 8 days compacted, you get a great idea of four different countries. You're starting your journey, if you go from north to south, you're starting your journey in the Netherlands, right? Spend some time there, learn about all these wonderful ports there, and then sail into Germany, get a great idea of the German food culture, the music, Beethoven along the Rhine, before touching on ports in France, Strasbourg, right? This amazing cultural capital in the Alsace, learning about different wines that are absolutely breathtakingly amazing, right? Wonderful food along the way, wherever you stop. And then ending your cruise in Basel. And if you want to even extend a little further, you may even go down to Lake Como, spend another 3 days, and add a fifth country to your collection. So you can say you've been in Italy, which you have, right? So um, this is really a lot of bang for your buck if you want to put it like that, compacted in just 8 days. And this is really where many people catch the river cruise bug, get really, I don't want to say addicted, but really get a flavor for what it means to sail on the river. The luxury, the everything is taken care of. People speak your language. It's a vacation in a foreign country, but everybody caters to your needs, and you really have to worry about nothing. Right? Everything is there for you.
Yeah, the Rhine is a great start. I love that you talked about it. I don't want to diminish it, but it's almost like the sampler plate of river cruising because, like you said, you get multiple countries with all of the local cuisine as you sail through the different countries. But when I think of the Rhine, I think of it's like a castle around every corner. As you're sailing on the river, and you've got the forests of Germany, you've got the beautiful town of Strasbourg, as you mentioned in France, and if you love France and you haven't gotten out of Paris, boy, Strasbourg might be, I don't want to say it's a hidden gem because so many people know about it, but it should be on your list. So as I think of the first river cruise, that's a great experience is to experience the Rhine. There's a bunch of other options, and most of I would say the river cruise number of beds, right? The most number of beds are in Europe. So you've got the Rhine, the Danube, the Rhone, the Seine, the Douro. Now you're starting to get a little bit of a different experience on each of those. Because as you head down the Rhine and the Danube, it's almost a continuation. It's new and unique. You see, my backdrop is obviously Budapest, so that's on the Danube. So you have a little bit slightly different views and slightly different cuisine. But maybe give me some other thought processes on these different regions. Like what's going to be different on the Douro from the Rhine and the Danube, and then take me out of Europe after you talk about that, and give me some other like maybe exotic places I never even thought about traveling to by way of river.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're asking. This is almost like the way I personally look at it. People kind of graduate to those more exotic places. And I don't want to say the Douro is exotic. It is a European river, but it's much smaller. So the ships here are much smaller, 120 guests only. The approach is still culture, music, history, the great food, the beautiful wines. When you talk about Portugal, of course, we're starting and ending the journey in Porto, which is the capital of port winemaking, but more so even for the Vinho Verde, right? These beautiful, absolute fresh and amazing wines. Um, so we're while we're sailing up there, we're stopping in different ports on the way up. It's basically a round trip. You're starting in Porto, sailing all the way up to uh, Salamanca in Spain, where we then turn around and do different ports on the way back down to Porto to get a great idea. You learn about the beautiful flamenco, not flamenco, the fado. Fado is flamenco is Spain. The fado is the music and the dance of Portugal. You learn about the incredible cuisine as you maybe experience a day at a bakery where they bake the traditional breads. I think Portugal, I feel, is one of the capitals of bread making in Europe, right? You get a great idea. The variety is just overwhelming. And as we sample our way basically through the cuisine of Portugal, we're making our way back to Porto, where then in the end you might even want to spend some time at the famous pilgrimage space, which slipped my mind now. um, Santiago de Compostela. That's the one. Santiago de Compostela, which is absolutely incredible. It has to be seen. So this is just one of the many extensions that you can take here in Porto, but boy, what an incredible experience. Also, you mentioned the exotics, and of course, we have to talk about Southeast Asia, right, where you can take a journey starting in Vietnam, crossing over into Cambodia, sailing the beautiful Mekong River, which is an incredible journey and a different type of history here, right? You're talking thousands years back, but also looking at the Vietnam War, the Hanoi Hilton. So there's a lot of things to be learned about ancient history and recent history, but the culture is absolutely amazing. The cuisine is so rich and colorful as we go to the markets. Again, the ship is very, very small. There's only 80 passengers, but absolutely luxurious. And this is maybe something where a traveler kind of graduates to after they've experienced European rivers, maybe done, a lot of these ones, and then sail to places a little further away, such as the Mekong. Secondly, I wanted to mention the Nile River. We're offering the cruises in Egypt, where you spend a couple days in Cairo, learn about the ancient Egyptian history, and then an inland flight will bring you to Luxor, where you sail down the Nile River, which is absolutely stunning. The Valley of the Kings, Luxor, all these ancient temples. And with us sail Egyptologists that are incredibly educated. They're professors, they're educators on local universities, and they have a wealth of knowledge that is absolutely stunning. So Egypt becoming much more popular these days. We never stopped sailing there in recent years, so it is a very, very strong leg for Viking to stand up with many ships. We're having 6 ships now in Egypt, and we're planning to build more because of the demand that we're seeing there. So it's absolutely stunning. I have been, and I'm planning to go back as soon as I can. It was absolutely incredible.